Hey guys, so welcome to Anther Branding. My name's JC. For today's video, we want to talk about understanding design costs. So part of our mission here at Anther Branding is to educate churches on how to better design and to glorify God better through design. So today's video isn't as much design focus as it is more the business behind design. So we hope to help you understand costs and contracts and how to interact with these companies and designers better. So today's video is going to be a little bit longer than usual. Not quite sure how long it's going to end up, but we want to make sure that we get through all of our content so that you can be the best or to be better equipped to be able to interact with designers and talk about contracts and money and what's expected. So the main need for this video is the fact that both designers and churches aren't very good about talking about money. So when it comes to contracts and negotiating terms and understanding what a contract consists of, what is expected from both parties, neither side is too good at it. And to be frank, the more inexperienced or the more new someone is to it from either side, the worse they are at it. So we want to make sure that you can communicate what you need, that the contract reflects that, and that you can get what you need, you can pay what you're expecting to pay, and make sure that everyone on both sides is happy. Because if there's anything that's true about design is that budgets can quickly be blown up if you're not understanding the terms of the contract and what's expected from both you and the designer that you're under contract with. So we're going to jump right in here. We're going to talk about pay structure with these contracts. So it's extremely important for you to understand how your designer is getting paid, or how your company, or how the company that you're paying is going to structure their payments. And what does that mean is there's two main ways that a designer or a design company or agency will go about their estimations and their contracts for pay for their services. And the main one, or the one that's more common, is going to be per project, which means that they're going to look at the project that you're presenting them, and they're going to give you a flat rate for such and such. They're going to say you need a logo. They're going to say it's going to be $1,000, and this and this and this is going to be what entails in that $1,000. Or they're going to say, we charge by hour. We think your project is going to take roughly 10 hours, and our hourly rate is $50 an hour. So that means it's going to be $50 or $500 for that project. But what's important to understand is the scope of the project in those proposals. So for one of the big things that gets a budget way off target is revisions and constant back and forth between the designer and the client, or in this case, you guys, the church. And what I mean by this is if your designer or the agency is charging you for the project, in that proposal, they're going to tell you, we're going to create a new logo for you, but we're including 4 revisions, meaning that we're going to present you a logo, and we can go back and forth on it 4 different times until that last one, which is your final logo. But if you want to continue making revisions after that, that's outside the scope of this contract, so you're going to have to pay more for it. And see, a lot of people going into these things don't understand that, each revision takes time, and each tweak and adjustment sets off a bunch of different other things. It's a chain reaction. When you change one element, oftentimes a lot more of the logo has to change in order to incorporate it and in order for it to all work together well. So when they give you a certain amount of revisions, you need to make sure that you take note of that, because if you keep on asking for things to change, it's going to get to the point where you're going to be charged more and more and more. Same thing with by the hour. So you're charging by the hour, and this should be even more prevalent for you to understand, because if you're getting charged by the hour, it's 5 hours to create your initial logo. You present it to, or they present it to you, you say, it's good, I don't like this, I don't like that, and they change it. Well, each revision is going to take anywhere, 1 to 5 hours or whatever it is. So you need to understand that the more hours going into it, the more you're going to pay, obviously. designers don't work for free. There's the thing of a starving artist, and it's somewhat true, but you have to understand that they're doing this as a job. They're doing this to get paid. They're not going to work for free. So when it comes to this, when they propose a by hour contract, so they're going to propose that it's going to take 10 hours. And within that 10 hours, they're budgeting time for revisions and for communication back and forth to change different things. But once you're out of that 10 hours, it's going to be added on to the end of your contract. So that makes sense for an hour, but same thing with project. They're going to either give you a per revision price afterwards, or they'll structure another contract for a few more revisions for a base amount. So anyways, that's going to be the main ways that they're going to structure how you pay them, or how the project is structured. So it's important to understand that, so you know what you're getting billed for. So if you see 30 more hours than what was budgeted at the beginning, you have to understand that, hey, like, was that my fault or was that their fault? And you have to also know what you agreed on. So say that you agreed to pay for 10 hours, and you only agree to pay for the hours that go over based off of your mistakes or your revisions, but not for anything that they've done. You have to understand where in the contract there's leeway and where there shouldn't be. So along with how they're going to estimate and bill you for either the project or per hour, you need to understand how they're going to structure the way that you're going to pay them. So this is when money actually exchanges hands from your hand to theirs. You need to look through the contract and see how they're going to structure it. A lot of designers, us included, are going to charge you an upfront amount. We're going to charge you 50% upfront. And what that means is it allows us, or why we do that, is it allows us to start work without working for free. And it protects both us and you. But we're going to get into that a little bit further. So a lot of different design agencies and designers will structure it. They'll do an upfront cost, 25%, half of it. Something, it's going to end up being somewhere between a quarter and a half of the total estimate upfront. Allows them to start work immediately, or they'll start work as soon as you pay them, so that no one's working for free. And it'll get you to different milestones. And so for the rest of the pay structure, they're going to present milestones at which they're going to bill you. So say for a logo, they're going to charge you 50% up front. And then the next, they're going to say there's going to be a milestone at 2 revisions and a milestone at the final product, which is going to be after 4 revisions. So you're going to pay 50% up front, and that's going to get you all the way up to 2 revisions. And at that point, they're going to ask for, let's say you have 50% left, so they're going to ask for another quarter. So they're going to ask for 25% of the contract at that point. And so you give them the 25% at that point, and they're going to start working on your other 2 revisions. And once completed, they'll ask for the last remaining money in the contract. And what this does is it helps you and it helps them. One, it helps them to work without getting paid. It also protects them from working for a client or with a client who's going to ask them to do all this work and then disappear after they put in hours of work, to not receive any pay, to not complete anything, for money not to change hands, and put the company in the hole a lot of money. Another thing is that when it protects you, is what it means by that is, yeah, you have to put money up front, but by presenting pay structures based on milestone, it gives you certain outs of the contract. For us, we're going to structure it so that after each milestone that which you pay, so after the, say 2 revisions, if you want to continue working with us, that's great. We need the 25% to continue working on the revisions. Or if you don't really like the direction that we're going, we're not meshing well as a partnership, then that's great. You've paid for the first 2 revisions. You don't need to pay for the next 2. We just part ways right there without you having to pay for a whole project for something that you don't like or something you think someone else could do better. So those things are important to understand, how they structure their pay. And the same will kind of work with a per hour. They're going to structure it so they're going to pay. You're going to pay at the beginning, and you're going to pay after a certain amount of hours, or revisions, depending on how they structure it. So that's a fairly common practice when it comes to design. Is you're going to pay something up front, and you're going to pay after certain revisions or milestones that you agree on with them are going to be the different times that money passes or changes hands. The upfront money also helps tremendously for when it comes to website design. There's a lot of different hidden costs behind websites. So we're gonna get into that a little bit more now. When it comes to websites, you need to understand the cost behind a website besides the design work, and also how they're structuring their contract with you. So fairly common practice with website design is to be hired on a retainer after the website's completed, meaning that you're going to pay them a monthly due or a monthly fee, or you're going to pay them a fee for every certain decided upon pay period for them to continue to maintain and upgrade your website to keep it current and to keep it working. Kind of like an IT help, or you could call them up whenever the website's doing something funny and they can fix it, and it's all agreed upon within the contract. But you also need to understand is when you're signing a contract for a website design, you need to understand if they're going to pay for the upfront costs, or that's going to be something outside of that contract. What I mean by that is you're going to have to pay for domains, you're going to have to pay for hosting, different sort of platforms, you have to pay for different templates, all sorts of that stuff is going to be paid for up front for the most part. You need to understand that, are they only charging you for their services and they're going to be expecting you to pay for these upfront costs outside of the contract, or are they including those costs within the contract? Now, we're going to include that cost within the contract. It's not going to be part of what the way we see it is we're going to charge you based off of our labor, but those prices and those charges are going to be in there, so you know that those are things that you're going to pay. So you're going to pay for those. We're not going to upcharge you or charge extra money for us to secure those services and domains, that sort of thing. Those are going to be 100% your money, paying for 100% that. We're not going to charge you 10, 15, 20% more for that part of the project. We are going to charge you for the design element portion of the project. So in our proposal, we'll tell you how much it's going to cost upfront for the website fees, and then we're going to tell you how much it's going to cost for us to design the website for you. So you'll see that $200 is going for the domain and the servicing fees for the year, and then the other $500 is going to us to design and put the labor and work into your website. And so going on from that is you're going to have to look at, are they signing you up for a retainer service? They're going to continue to work on your logo, or you're going to continue to work on your website every month, for the next year, 3 years, whatever you're signing off on. And if they are, you need to understand with that as well is these retainers often come with a certain amount, a set amount of revisions that can be made. So for a certain pay period, they may only allow 5 different updates or changes for that pay period without going beyond the scope of the contract and having to charge you more for it. So you need to understand how many revisions you're going to make, how much you're paying them, if they're even going to provide this service afterwards. These are all things that you need to communicate with them and ask them about. And if they're good people, like most of them are, they're going to communicate with you what they're expecting, what they're going to do for you. Like us, we're going to ask if you want that service. It's not something that we stress, or it's not something that we automatically write into our contracts. That's only something that if you ask for it, we can provide. But elsewise, it's going to be up to you to do it. So we'll just scroll through my notes here. What's next? The upfront cost with the website is going to be a huge thing to understand. Because if someone's going to propose to you, it's going to be $500 for this website, but they don't let you know about the cost of the domain and the hosting and all that other stuff. That could be easily a few $100s more on top of what they're going to do, and that'll blow your budget way out of the water, especially if you've already paid or you've already signed a contract for the service that they're going to provide. You need to make sure that you know up front if that is extra money that you're going to have to provide on top of the contract, or if they've written it into the contract. Some more clarity for logos when it comes to our logo design and contracts with that. Logos are something that can be super simple and can go from an easy 5 to 10 hour project to something that's going to take 40, 80 hours to work on. And how does that happen is you need to understand, or they need to understand, what you're asking for. How much logo are you asking for? And what I mean by that is, are they just creating an icon? Like, are they just creating that logo that you're going to throw on a t-shirt, that logo you're going to throw on your website? Are they just creating that mark? Or are they creating that mark plus, a word mark? So are they going to have that logo and then they're going to put your church's name next to it and design either design a font or use some fonts and manipulate it so it looks well together or looks good together? Or are you expecting them to create a letterhead for you, business cards for you, design t-shirts and hoodies? Or you're expecting, staff apparel, email signatures? Or are you wanting them to create an entire system, identity system with that logo, so it's on everything that you have? Or are you asking for them to provide guidelines for how to use a logo, so there's consistency across the board on how the logos look and how they're used, to help you look more professional in your presentation of the logo? Are they going to create a system with your logo? And what we mean by that is, like, there's logos that it's just a simple, a letter or a simple little design of, let's just go with a tree. But with that, are you expecting them to create a logo that will be good on a large surface? So say you're creating a logo that will go well on a street sign, or are you creating a logo that will go well with a t-shirt? And oftentimes they're not the same logo, but they're going to be the same core identity of the logo, but there's going to be things added and subtracted from it, so it will work well across all the mediums. So that's important to understand is, are you asking for all these things to be done? Because technically those, they may not be a completely new logo, but it's going to be tons of hours put into these systems to show your logo and show your identity to be presented well across the board as far as everything that you need to do. Logos, are they go from quite simple to quite a major and complex undertaking. And you need to understand what you're asking them, and understand that with complexity, with these massive undertaking, they're obviously going to charge you more money. Or if you're presenting them a project that's going to be a simple logo, pretty straightforward, there's no bells or whistles to it, it's going to be cheaper. But if you're trying to move from a simple, straightforward logo to something quite complex and a huge undertaking, there's going to be a big change or a big gap in the budget that you've allotted or that they've presented you and with the contract, and what's going to end up being. So you need to understand what you're asking, and you need to make sure that you clarify. So the major point of this video is you need to make sure that you're clarifying again, and then again. Make sure that you clarify what is expected, what you're asking for, how you're going to pay them, how they're asking for pay, how they're going to charge you. Make sure that all of these things are understood completely by both you and them. And that's going to be the best way to ensure that your design project stays on budget. You need to make sure that you understand the structure. So are they going to charge you by the project, by the hour? Are they going to charge you, 50% up front and then have a per milestone pay structure? Or are they just expecting it all up front? Or are they expecting it all on the back end? You need to understand the scope that you're asking them, the scope of work that you're asking them to produce. So you need to understand what you're asking them to do in order to clarify the budget and the range of the budget for you. So are you asking them something that's realistic with the budget that you're expecting, or are you asking them something quite more expensive than what you're prepared to spend? And then finally, you need to just understand communication. It's the most important part when it comes to staying on budget with design. You have to continue to communicate with the designers, continue to communicate with the company to make sure that both of you are on the right end of things, that both of you are getting what you expected, that both of you are working well together. Because if you're not communicating, most likely you're not going to meet in the middle. You're going to end up either sacrificing quite a lot, or they're going to sacrifice quite a lot, or you're going to end up just wasting a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of resources for something that you don't like, something that they don't want to be a part of. It's just a major issue. So please communicate. And if you have questions, ask them about it. Like I said, designers, creatives aren't the greatest with talking money, but neither are you. So you need to make sure that we're pursuing good communication, and that we're interacting with these companies and these designers, these creatives, especially if they're not, from within the church world. You need to make sure that you're communicating with them well, so that they can say that it was a pleasurable experience working with you, so that you can create relationships, so that you can develop opportunities to present the gospel to them, to share, the great news of Jesus dying on the cross for all of our sins. And for, working for an agency like us who consists of believers. No one wants to hate a church. No one wants to hate a fellow brother or sister in Christ. And communication is one of those things that drives people up a wall. So just make sure that you're communicating well, that you're broadcasting what you're expecting, and that you're working well with these designers and these creatives. And as always, if you have any questions about this, or if you want us to present a different topic to kind of work through, or if you want to work with us, feel free to reach out to us through our website at anthrobranding.com. Or comment below in the comment section. Please like and subscribe to these videos. We're going to be pretty regular with the production of them. If you like them, if you hate them, please let us know, and we can grow. We can work on them. We can, we want to serve you better. We want to serve you well, and we want to make sure that your church is glorifying God to the best of your capabilities. So let us help you do that. If you have any ideas, suggestions, please let us know. Like I said, comments below. Give us a like, subscribe to us. And there will also be a blog version of this video. So if you'd rather read instead of listen to me, again, it's going to be linked below in the comment section. So hope you have a great day. We hope that this video helps you glorify God well. Hopes that it helps you glorify God better than you could before. And we can't wait to partner with you to glorify God better with you through design. Have a good day.